Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be creating a fun little layout for you all today featuring the brand new Happy Together collection from Creative Memories. Now this is what I like to call a little mini collection, if you like, because there was just 6 beautiful sheets of double-sided printed paper in the paper pack, and there was also an embellishment pack. So no sticker sheets, no coordinating punches or anything like that, like a lot of our larger Creative Memories collections have. But I really love this collection. I'm a huge fan of pink and red together. I know not everybody is, but that's the great draw card for me for this collection. It has a fun Valentine's theme to it, if you like, but it's great for documenting pages of the people you love in your life. It doesn't necessarily have to be just for Valentine's Day. So I've got the paper pack and I've got the embellishment pack here that we're going to be working with. I'm also going to be using a fair bit of my cardstock stash. And for the background, I'm just going to be working with some red cardstock, and I've also got some bright white. I'm going to be creating the layout on a white background purely because, you know, these are bold colors and there's some really bold patterns with this paper collection. And sometimes I just like to, you know, calm things down a little bit, and I think you can get some really pretty and standout results working with your white background. I'm going to be adding a whole bunch of flowers to this layout, and I'm also going to be creating a cute little fox with you all as well. I've actually done a lot of prep work off camera today. I don't want to spend too much time on sharing my flowers because I will, you know, obviously create a flower for you to show you how I made them. But this isn't a new technique. I have shared this in many videos before, my little fringed flowers. I've also used some punches to punch some leaves. And we're going to create our little fox using our custom cutting system templates. I've got the circle custom cutting templates. I've also got the small heart from the gemstone templates, and I've also got the smallest oval. So they're the ones that I'm going to be using for both the flowers and for my fox. I've used both the spring leaf and the 5-leaf punch. Both of these punches are no longer available, and it makes me sad because when you love creating floral layouts as much as what I do, you know, these are just perfect. You may have something similar in your stash that you can use. And I've also got my double heart decorative punch as well. This is no longer available either. But again, you might have something similar in your stash. I'm a big believer of still always using my favorite punches because ultimately this is why we buy them. They're there to be used. But I just love the result those 2 punches give, as you can see there. And we just need to prep our background to start with, and then we'll move on to our flowers and our little fox. I'm working with red cardstock for the base layer, and as I said, I've got the bright white cardstock to go over the top. Our bright white cardstock is a much thicker grade of cardstock to, you know, our regular colors. So for that reason, it's up to you. You can gut or remove the center of this red sheet of cardstock. Conserves your cardstock, and it's not going to make this too thick in your album. I'm actually going to do that today. So I'll bring in my 12-inch trimmer, and I've shown you all this lots of times before too, but you may not be aware if you're a newcomer, you haven't seen our fabulous Creative Memories 12-inch trimmer, then you'll love this technique. It's super simple. A great way, as I said, to conserve your cardstock. But if you have a little look at the side of our blade housing unit, we've got a little marked line at halfway. This measures 1 inch from the top of that blade housing unit and it measures 1 inch from the base as well. So that will help us in removing the center of our cardstock. This blade here opens up, and of course they're all interchangeable. It comes with a lot of decorative blades. I might be biased, but I actually think this is the best 12-inch trimmer on the market. It's really sturdy. This blade will not cut until you press down, so you can move that over paper. It's not going to cut until you press down. So what we're going to do is line up your cardstock to the 1 inch marking on your trimmer, and then you want to bring this blade housing unit down until the top of it is in line with the top edge of your cardstock. Remember what I said, it's not going to cut until you press down. So once you've got that lined up, press down, and I want you to stop cutting when the bottom edge reaches the bottom edge of the cardstock. So the bottom edge of your blade housing unit reaches the bottom edge of your cardstock, and you can see what that's done there. It's just cut that first slit into our cardstock. And basically all I'm going to do is just repeat that pattern. Just line up that marked line and stop when that housing unit is in line with the bottom edge. And we're going to start removing a frame from this cardstock. I use this technique all the time because the cardstock square that you remove from the center can be used to mat your photos, or you can use, you know, for another project. So you can see how much cardstock that you're conserving by using this method. So we have our little frame there. Now I'm just going to bring in my bright white cardstock, and we're going to cut this down to 11.5 inches by 11.5 inches. So we're just removing that little bit so that we're going to have a lovely framed effect with that red peeping behind the bright white. So once you've removed that 1/2 inch from your white cardstock, that can be adhered down over the red, and as you can see, it's just going to give that nice framed effect. What I am going to do before I do that though, because often when you remove the center from your frame, you know, it can be a little trickier to line that up and keep it steady on your cutting mat while you're adhering that white cardstock over the top. So I've just got some of the Creative Memories adhesive dots out of my stash. These were fabulous, and I'm just removing a little bit of the sticky on my t-shirt, and I'm just going to stick one at the top of my cutting mat, and I'm going to stick a second one. Again, I'm just taking a little bit of the stickiness off on my t-shirt in the bottom corner of my cutting mat. The reason why I've removed some of, you know, that stickiness is just so it's going to wipe off cleanly off my cutting mat. It's not going to leave any residue, and it's not going to do any damage to my cardstock frame. So I've just stuck that in place so it's not going to wiggle around on me. And then we can add some adhesive tape now to be able to stick down that bright white cardstock. And I want to bring in, can I just spend a few minutes gushing about the Creative Memories Jumbo Tape Runner. This was released a few weeks back now, sold through very quickly. Creative Memories are going to do a restock in May, so I would mark that on your calendars, because I've used a lot of different jumbo tape runners of different branding over the years, and I have to say this is my favorite. Very comfortable to hold. It's not heavy. I have been using this for weeks now. I still have heaps on my runner there, heaps of adhesive still. I think I'm only not even quite halfway through that. And it has not clogged up. It has not jammed. The tape has not shifted. You know, sometimes with larger tape runners, the tape can actually peel off the little rotary item here. It's done none of that. It's super simple to change the cartridge when it runs out. Just simply lifts out. Mine hasn't run out yet, which is a miracle given the amount that I use it. It comes with a refill. Now there is 150 feet of adhesive tape. It's the regular adhesive tape on this refill, and you know, in your runner, if my math is mathing, I think that's about 45 meters. So yeah, you can get the refills. These babies will be back in stock in May. I highly recommend you get one. I'm probably going to get one and put it away just for the sake of it because I absolutely love it. But I'm just going to add just a little bit of adhesive around the inside edge of my cardstock frame. And because I've used those little adhesive dots, that's another product I'd like to see come back. I know it's not going to shift anywhere. I would love to see this tape runner become a permanent product. And you know I love my repositionable tape, so how good would it be? Hint, hint. The powers of at B if we were able to get that in repositional. Oh my goodness, happy days. So once you've got your tape down, I'm just going to line up my bright white cardstock over the top, and we can peel that off our cutting mat. It's going to pull away easy. The adhesive is now on the back of my cardstock, and I'm just going to roll my thumb, and you can see it came off straight away, and that's because I used my t-shirt just to dull the adhesive a little. Now it's stuck to my finger, it doesn't want to come off. Okay, there we go. That's all I'm going to do in preparation for my background. And I want to talk flowers. As I mentioned at the start of my video, I don't want to spend too much time on these because it is a technique I've shared with you before. I've created the larger flowers are 4 layers. And then I created a smaller flower and it is only 3 layers. So basically for this, I've used exactly the same size circles. I just haven't added the larger circle in behind it, just to give a bit of contrast once they come together on the layout. You're also going to need a bit of cardstock. I use bright white for my larger flower. And for my smaller flower, I've actually used cranberry. Now, I know I'm actually going to make my fox from the cranberry cardstock as well. The red Creative Memories cardstock is a warm shade of red, where cranberry is actually more a cool shade of red. Now, I do think these 2 shades of red do work well together, especially when you've got pink there as your buffer. So, you know, even though one is a warm shade, one is a cool, they're still going to work well for us on our layout. So to begin with, we're going to obviously be working with our circular custom cutting system templates. And in particular, I have the medium here and I have the small circle. You're going to need all 3 cutting blades, so your blue, red and green cutting blade. So the largest layer, I'll just put a flower here so we can reference it. The largest circle I've used was my medium template, and I've used the red blade. The red blade will cut closest to the track of your circles, or your templates in general, I should say. So that was the red blade, like so. Then for the second layer, I've used the exact same template, only this time I've used the blue blade. So the blue blade will sit the furthest away from these templates, furthest away from the track. So that was our second circle. Okay, so next I'm going to work with the bright white cardstock and my smallest circle custom cutting system template, and I'm going to cut with the red blade, and you might just need to press down a little bit firmer when you cut from the bright white cardstock, again because it is a thicker grade. So we've got the white circle, and then for our final circle, which is the top layer, I'm going to work with my green blade and the smallest circle again, like so. So that gives you the 4 layers that you're going to need for your large flower. If you were making the small flower, then you just don't need to cut the largest circle, as I mentioned. So I'm going to be a good girl and turn these lids over on my blades so that I don't cut myself. There we go. We will need those for our little fox, so I'll just set them to the side. Now, we're going to do some fringe cutting. You all know how much I love my fringe cutting. I had some scissors. Surely I can't lose them that quickly. Here they are. Okay, so we're going to fringe cut around the circle. As I said, I've shown you this technique many times, and it's just a matter of making your way around the circle. I don't want you to panic, whoops, if you cut a little piece away like I just have. It all adds to the shabby effect that we're going for with these flowers. So, you know, if you do accidentally remove one of those little pieces, I really don't want you to be too hard on yourself. It's not going to matter at all, because once you fringe cut all the way around, I am actually going to go around and just remove a little corner here and there in different directions. So you can see I'm changing the direction of my scissors just to remove a little piece anyway. And what that does, if you give your circles a little ruffle, what that does, it just helps to give a bit of definition to the circle. That's what you're going to be left with. Doesn't look much at the moment, but once you bring all of these layers together, that's when you'll see your little bloom appear. So the second layer, we do the exact same thing. Oh, and I've done it again. So please don't worry if you accidentally remove a piece. Look at me being wild with my scissors. Just make your way around. I actually, call me weird, but I actually find it really relaxing to sit and make little paper flowers. There are a ton of different methods, but I quite enjoy it. And then once they're all together, they just come together so quickly to your layout. It's a great way of using up your little scraps of paper. They're great on cards, you know, so very simple to make. I'm just doing the exact same thing, just removing a tip here and there. Give it a ruffle. That's our second layer. Now with our cardstock, I'm actually just going to distress the edges. You may have a little Creative Memories distress tool. I believe these were in a secret box. Was it last year or the year before? These are great for just roughing up those edges. If you don't have a distress tool, you know, very carefully, you can just use the blade of your scissors too. You don't have to have that specific tool. You can just rub your blade gently over the edge just to distress that a little, like so. And then our final little circle, the exact same thing. We're going to point cut this as well, or fringe cut, I should say. I find this is easy to do with my smaller scissors, just because they've got a lovely sharp pointy set of blades to them. A little bit easier to control, but do watch your fingers. Okay, and once you've fringe cut all the way around, again, I'm just removing Just removing those little edges. And that's our final piece there. I'm just going to get rid of all my little confetti pieces. And we can bring them together. So I'm just going to adhere them into place. You can use foam squares, and I love to do that to really lift each layer up. I'm not going to today. Again, it does make your pages that little bit thicker if you're, you know, adding multiple layers of foam squares. A little bit on that final piece, like so. And then I finished it off. There's a really cute set of enamel heart stickers that comes with your Happy Together embellishment pack. So that's what I'm using to center my little flowers. And I'm just using a little red heart, and there we have our flower. So you can see how simple they are. Please, you can make as many or as few as you like. I always go nuts, and if I have any left over, then they're great for gift tags or for cards. But I really want to dig in now and create our fun little fox. You may remember, if you've been hanging out with me for a while, scrapbooking, you may remember probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I created a little fox. It was a huge hit, super simple to make, and I'm just doing a little update. So it's not the first time I've made a fox. I've just changed the method that I'm going to create this one. So we can call it Foxy 2.0. But you're going to need the small heart from your Gemstones custom cutting system templates. And there's a little bit of freehand cutting for this. You're also going to need your small oval and your small circle. So we'll start with the heart. This is where I'm using my cranberry cardstock, and we just need to cut one from the outside track, and we're going to be using our red blade. So just get those little nodules into that track. So we've got our first heart, and I'm going to bring in some more of my bright white cardstock. I've got that scrap piece there, and I'm going to cut a heart exactly the same size. So red blade on the outside track. Again, you might just need to press down a little bit firmer. That gives us our second heart. What I might do, I might actually cut all the shapes first, and then it's just a matter of bringing our little fox together. Now I've got just a scrap of black cardstock there. I'm going to be using my small circle template, and I've got my blue blade. We just need to cut one circle, and that's going to be for our little foxy's nose. Next, we need to bring in our smallest oval, and using my blue blade again, we're going to cut 2 ovals from black cardstock. These will be for eyes. And just going to bring back that white cardstock again and cut 2 more ovals for the eyes as well, just using that small oval, like so. Okay, so this next part is where our freehand cutting comes into play. I know not everybody likes freehand cutting, and I get that. But I really just want, to share. You don't have to be perfect with this. You don't have to be exact. But I've just cut a small piece of the cranberry cardstock, and I'm going to fold that in half. When I say, small, I know some of you are going to want a measurement. Look, it's just over 3 inches by 2.5. So that gives you an idea of the size piece that I'm working with. And I'm going to fold that in half. And I'm just going to cut an ear shape I'm just going to go up and back down again. So that gives us 2 ears. And I'm going to actually repeat this from my bright white cardstock. But you want this piece to be a bit smaller than the red that we used. Okay, so I'm just folding that in half and just, you know, I'm eyeballing it. You can always cut more away from it if you don't get it right the first time. That is completely crooked. On you go. I don't want you to worry too much if it is. You can just trim it down to suit. But we've got 2 freehand shaped ears. Okay, now before we bring this together, there is one little technique I am going to do, and that involves these white eyes that we cut. They're actually going to be adhered down onto white cardstock. So white on white's a bit matchy-matchy, you're not going to see it. So I'm actually just going to add a little bit of ink to mine. If you don't have any black ink, you could use your journal pen, the wide tip of your journal pen, just to add a little bit of colour. It's certainly not going to, you know, be a lot, but I can assure you that that will help us. It's such a small piece, I'm probably going to get it all over me. It's just going to help it stand out on the white of the face. And again with the second piece. I normally don't like suggesting using your journal markers for doing this because the cardstock can actually, you know, indent the nib of your journal pen, but for a tiny surface like that, you know, it's not going to do any harm if you don't have any ink in your stash. Okay, so what I'm first going to do, and this is where I'm going to change back to my repositional tape in case I need to move things around. But we need to just adhere our ears together, and I'm just making sure that I bring that white piece down a little because we still want a good amount of our red showing in behind, our cranberry. So I'm just going to stick those into place. And I'm also going to get our eyes prepped. So it's just a matter, I'm just going to add a little bit of repositional tape to the bottom of my white oval there. And I'm just going to stick the black oval, which is the same size, just over the bottom third. And that creates our eye. And then it's just a matter of flipping that over and with your scissors, cut away that overhang there, and that will leave you with an eye. And we can repeat that to our second little oval here. I have got a little bit of ink on my fingers, so just be careful with that. Make sure I've got them fairly similar. And again, I'm just turning that over. I'm going to cut away that excess. Rightio. So now we can bring our little fox to life. Obviously we've got our red heart here, our cranberry heart as the base, and we're going to cut, I'm just going to cut the white heart in half. Like so. Doesn't matter, you know, if that's not straight because we're going to cut away some of that as well. And then I'm just going to run some adhesive down the side of that first heart, and you want to just position the curved edge on an angle down towards the bottom of the cranberry heart there, like so. I'm going to do the same with this second half. It's basically just giving us a nice little face contrast for our fox. With that in place, we can flip it over. And again, I'm just going to follow the edge of my cranberry heart and with my scissors very carefully cut away that excess. Like so. Now I am going to bring in my foam squares and I'm going to add the nose of our fox with a foam square. And that'll go at the tip, base of our heart there. Just grab a square. It's just going to give a nice dimension to our fox's face. Our eyes will go in place, and you can see by adding that little bit of black ink, it's now helping, you know, the whites of the eyes stand out on the white of the cheeks. So we can stick those down. And then it's just a matter of adding our little ears. So we can just add a little bit of repo tape and they will go at the top of the heart. And I'm sort of just, you know, angling mine out just a little bit. No, I'm a little bit fussy with the ears. They're angled outwards slightly. Just when you're happy with, you know, how they look and if you've got them in place nice and even. Like so. Now I want to personalise mine just a little bit, and this is where I'm bringing in the petal punch from the piece by piece punch set. And I'm just going to punch 2 of the pink. And we're going to add these to our fox's ear here as a little bow. Because what fox hasn't got a bow? Has any fox got a bow? You know my rule, if it looks cute, it doesn't need to make sense. Let's pop, I'm going to use actually one of the black heart stickers just to make sure that really stands out. You could add little flowers too if you wanted to. But that finishes our little fox. So I've brought my background back to the cutting mat, and here's the thing. I've decided I do really want to add some of this beautiful striped paper, which is on the back of the little ditzy tiny floral. I've cut a strip there. It's a 3.5 inch width, and obviously I need to shorten the length down to 11.5. So just that tiny little bit off. I'm going to sit that towards the top. And I'm going to cut another strip, let's say 2 inches. Let's go with that. 2 inches. And again, I'm going to cut the length down to 11.5. Okay, Kylie's happy now. Just thought it needed a little pop of something in the background, and this is going to be it. I'm going to adhere both. It's about 1.5 inches up from the very bottom and down from the top of my page. So I'll bring in my tape runner again. and stick that into place. Keeping it very simple though. And same thing with the top, coming down that 1.5 inches to leave that space. Okay, so now we can configure where we want to put our embellishments, and my favorite, we can start adding in all of these blooms and the leaves, and you watch me go crazy because this is the fun part. I really want to get my photos ready and into place. You can use any sized photo you want to use. So whether you want to keep it full size or you want to make them a little smaller, that's up to you. It depends on the photos you're documenting. I want to go with 3 photos that are horizontal in orientation. And I'm going to actually cut my photo mats, let's say 5.25 by 3.75. And then my photos, I haven't got them printed today, but my photos will be cut down to 5 inches by 3.5. So I'm just removing that small amount, off my photos. But I just find this is a really nice size to be able to add, multiple photos to your page. So the photo mats are 5.25 by 3.75, and then as I said, my photos will be 5 inches by 3.5. And I think the position of these guys, I'm going to have 1 here, and then I'm going to have 2 across the bottom like so. Might even bring them up just that little bit so we can go nuts with our flowers. Okay, so that is the position that I'm looking for my photos. My fox is going to come in here to the top corner. I'll get these photo mats into place and then we'll finish the design by embellishing. Okay, so I know some of you are going to ask what shades of cardstock I have cut my leaves. The spring leaf is the beautiful avocado, and the 5-leaf punch I used, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that because 1, my accent, and B, I've just got no clue. But it was this. Creative Memories often has cardstock buffets where, they'll release a whole variety of fun colours. They're not going to be permanent additions to the cardstock range, but I always say to my customers and to my followers, whenever there's a cardstock buffet, grab the colours you like, because, instances like this, I find myself, I'm working with these all the time, pulling them out of my stash. They're really fun shades to have on hand. So whatever that shade was, somebody might be able to tell me how to pronounce it. I'm just not going to go there. I'm going to set myself up to fail. So we've got our little foxy. And I just want to set about layering some blooms in and around my fox. And I'm going to actually add that to my layout with foam squares. So I'll use the larger size square. Got the backs off my foam. So let's tilt our little foxy just in that top left-hand corner. And I'm just going to start layering in these flowers. And I don't worry, you know, we've given ourselves a really nice border of red. And you'll notice that, you know, often I will embellish off, you know, the centerpiece of this frame. And, you know, that doesn't bother me. It's each to their own, but I'm certainly going to use up every width of my layout, even though I have put a frame in place. So with my flowers in place, I can come now in with my greenery. And I have made obviously far too many for what I'm going to need, but as I said, I will no doubt be using this in other projects, or the little flowers and leaves that I have left over. We've got our 2 shades of green for our leaves. And I haven't put, just so you know, I haven't put adhesive all the way down any of the leaves where, you know, they're overlapping our photos. So I've only put adhesive at the base of that leaf. It will just overhang my photos just that little bit. Same with this one here. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the overall balance of that now. I'm just going to open my packet of embellishments here from the collection. It's a lot of really cute little journal cards, and there's lots of fun quotes. I think I'll use that one. Oh, I love that one. Butterfly. Gotta have the butterfly. All right, so we might put our cute title down the base here, and I think it lends itself to having foam squares for that. So I'm just using the teeny tiny squares for this. So that'll go across the base there. Our butterfly, so I'm going to bend him a little. I'm just going to add the butterfly. You can see I've just added one of the little soft pink enamel stickers to the center there, and I'm using a foam square for that as well. And I really like this heart. It might be a bit too much. I mean, I'm all for more is more, but I don't think that's going to work for me. No. 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 Okay, so I've just used my double heart punch. This is no longer available, unfortunately. And I've worked with, I don't know, is this Platinum Shimmer? I think it is. And I've punched a bunch of these little hearts. You can see there, they're quite sweet. So with that contrasting colour, I'm going to just come in and just, oh, a scrap there. Just going to, I'm not going to go mad with them, but I'm just going to add them tucked in and around my flowers, just to finish that off. I'm using the ones, just the little frame. Not sure if I'll use the solid heart as well. Again, I just want a couple just to add in and around those clusters. And it's really subtle, but it just finishes it off nicely. There, just tucked in amongst all that greenery. I can save these little hearts for another project. So that completes my little foxy layout for today. I hope you've enjoyed watching and seeing how this was brought together. And I really hope that you give this layout a try for yourselves. But for now, take care everybody, and I will see you again soon. Bye.